Hello and welcome everyone to this live stream. I am super pumped today because we have a ton of questions to go over, and thank you so much for joining. I know we're just starting out right now, and so right before we get started, I want to make sure that everything is working cool for you guys. So thumbs up or send me a chat message in the chat here if the audio is working good and the video is looking nice and crispy. I see we already have some people here in the chat. Obviously, Anthony Venture, first always. So first again, let's go. Thanks, Tony, for showing up super early. I don't know where CJ is, but we'll have to figure out where he is. Perfect. We have one Meow Mix here. Yeah, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for joining up. My buddy Joe Barreto is also here in the chat. Freaking Anthony, of course, you know that guy, right? What's up? What's up, Joe? It's good to see you, man. We had to cover your question too, by the way, towards the middle of this live stream, I think. So that's gonna be really, really cool. I got my buddy Matt Welter. What's up? What's up? And I also see that you say that the audio is perfect. Wonderful, awesome. Thank you so much for confirming that as well. We got GF here in the house. Yo-Yo in the house. Love the name, by the way. Yo-Yo is such an awesome name. And Keith, my man Keith, haven't talked to you in a while, buddy. How's it been? How's that Chase 524 rule working out for you? I just want to know how that's working. It's a little inside joke between me and Keith. All right, John is here. Stan, welcome. Good to see you. And Augie's Travels, thank you for confirming as well. Video and audio is great. I did upgrade my camera since the last time I did this live stream. I will do it a little bit dark. And the issue with the live streams is that I can't post process obviously the camera or the audio while I'm doing the live stream, so I have to kind of make the kind of up the level of what's going on with the kind of what's coming out of the feed. So I'm working on that in the background. We have Nubia Rising, also known as Nicosia, another country. Thank you so much for tuning in internationally. Hope you're having a great trip. Good to see you as well. Looks like we have Tony again in the house. Wonderful. And also Mr. I don't even know how to say this, but Zizis Christ. Good to see you too, buddy. All right. And thanks so much for being a member. All right. Jacob Good is here. Hello. And Jacob points his profits as well. Okay. So I'm glad everything is going well, and we have a good group of people here already. So I do want to get started with a few things. You guys already know the format from the last version of this live stream I did before. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing again. So we'll have time for live questions as well as some questions I prepared from the community post I posted back on Tuesday. So that's going to be awesome. I see Sean Sneed here in the chat. Excited for this live stream. Thanks, Stan. Also, one more thing I want to say, Jacob Points and Profits, he's almost at 1,000 subscribers. And, you know, as YouTubers, we try so hard at the beginning to get to that one mark. And so if you guys just do me a quick favor, go to Jacob's Points of Profits channel, check out his channel, subscribe if you'd like to, but he's doing some really good work over there. So that is, you know, super good to see. And I can't wait to see you when you cross that 1K subscriber mark. All right, we have Mr. Henry Vang here. Hey, Stan, been following for a while. Keep up the great job. We appreciate your hard work. Well, thank you very much. What I do with these live streams is my time every month here on these live streams is to work for you. I want to make sure that I get your questions answered in the best way I can, in the most efficient way that I can. And so that's kind of why I'm here. And absolutely, I want to make sure that everyone, you know, gets a chance to answer ask their questions so I can answer them nice and have a good answer for you guys. Wong Way Travels is here. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to you, my friend. I know that I've seen you a lot of live streams, so thank you so much for stopping by. And with that being said, let's kind of get started here with the live question and answer. So again, we're going to start with some very basic things first. First of all, thank you so much for responding to the community post I posted on Tuesday. That's actually the fuel that helps drive the questions on this channel and this live stream. So even if you don't even post a question, I really appreciate the positive comments and the feedback. So we have Toby Key here, 309, that says, yeah, buddy. And we're all here. So thank you for that. My friend Enchanted Plant Cream is here. Looking forward to it. By the way, if you guys really need some help with plants, Enchanted Plant Cream is a great channel with specifically on aeroids, and I believe it's anthuriums. If I'm saying that correctly. I don't know much about plants, but you know, she is very knowledgeable. So definitely check out her channel if plants are your thing. Kalmilani is here too. I haven't joined one of your live streams yet. Looking forward to it. Well, I haven't seen you at Kalmilani, but if you come in, welcome. He's been having a great week, actually. I took this screenshot about a week ago. and he's already crossed the 1K subscriber mark. So congrats, Kamilani. Big accomplishment, big congratulations. So keep up the great work. Your videos look awesome, very crispy. I saw you got a new camera too, so I'm looking forward to see how that looks like on your channel as well. So thank you so much for that. So also Jacob's Points of Profits. Thanks for the shout out, San. I'm enjoying all the support you've given me over the past couple of months. Of course, man. I think all of us here on the credit card community are very, very positive with each other. We really want to see you succeed. And for us, especially someone like myself who's been doing this now for about 2 years, I know how much work it is and how much time you have to spend to put in to get these videos out every week or whatever your content schedule is. And so definitely make sure to support your smaller creators. They're really definitely putting the work. They're definitely doing it also because they love the game. Like we all love the credit card game. We all love what we're doing. And so let's just make a positive community and keep supporting each other. So moving on to the next thing, there's some few housekeeping things I want to talk about before we start. So channel memberships are live. And of course, we will get to the members questions first. What's nice about the memberships now is that with these live streams, if you are a channel member, I will feature your question first in these live streams. And so you have the opportunity to do that. It's about $3 a month, so nothing crazy. You can come and go as you please, but it's something that could benefit the channel. And if you want to have your questions answered first in the live stream, that's something that we can definitely make you happen. As well as if you have chat messages in the live stream, you'll have a little banner next to your name, as well as if you comment on my videos too. So just to let you know, memberships are available and they are live. So if you would like to support the channel, you're welcome to do so. One other thing I want to mention is, first of all, thank you so much to all of you who watched the last live stream, as well as some of the clips I made from that live stream as well. I did make a misstep in terms of I did say something that was wrong, and a lot of you did comment on my channel and on the video as well about what I said that was wrong. So I want to cover that really quick before we get started to make sure that we correct what I said. And I like to say that I know a little bit more than the average person about the credit card space, but because there's so much to know, inevitably I'm going to get something wrong, and that's going to go for pretty much anyone in this space too. I mean, people say that there's not a lot to know about credit cards. I really disagree with that. There's so many things to do. There's so many lounges to visit, so many like annual fees that change, so many benefits that change. There's no way to really get it all right all at one time. So the reason why I think it's really helpful to have this community is because we can all crowdsource the information together. And then by doing so, we can really create a hive mind where we can all help each other out to get the best value that we can from these credit cards. And so with that being said, the mistake I made was about the Chase Sapphire Reserve versus the Ritz card, specifically about the Sapphire Lounge. And so I'm going to go over that a little bit in terms of what specifically is this information about the authorized users of the Chase Sapphire Reserve, the authorized users for the Ritz-Carlton, as well as a priority pass for both of them, and how they interact with each other, in addition to how they interact with the Sapphire lounges that are coming up, because that is actually important to talk about, because once we kind of go through this, you'll see that the Ritz-Carlton card is actually a lot more powerful than I realized. And so moving forward with that, let's start with the authorized users. So authorized users for the Chase Sapphire Reserve card is $75 per authorized user. On the Ritz-Carlton card has free authorized users. And just to kind of go back, the Chase Sapphire Reserve has the annual fee of $550. The Ritz-Carlton card has the annual fee of $450. So you can already see right off the bat that getting a Chase Sapphire Reserve authorized user is not nearly as good as getting the free one on the Ritz-Carlton card. Now, if I were to compare the Platinum and the Reserve card, there's a different story, because as you know, the Platinum card has that $695 annual fee. It has that $195 authorized user fee. So depending on kind of what you're comparing it to, the authorized user may make sense for you if it's on the Chase Sapphire Reserve, compared to the Platinum card. But when we compare the Sapphire Reserve plus the Ritz-Carlton card, you're going to see that it's definitely more favorable to have the Ritz-Carlton card. From what I understand too, is that there are an unlimited number of authorized users per card. So you don't have really a limit to getting authorized users. Of course, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, you never really want to do that because it just costs one cost per user. But the Ritz-Carlton, you can simply add as many people as you like, which is nice. You also want to make sure that you know that authorized users each get their own priority pass. And that's important because you can get a priority pass membership for a lot less or a lot cheaper than if you were to get it outright on its own. And so that moved out to the Priority Pass versions of these cards, is that the Chase versions of the Priority Pass is the most, and what I can remember, is the most powerful version of the Priority Pass. So it gets you into every Priority Pass that you'd expect, plus the restaurants or other non-lounge type of Priority Pass things. And so that's not the same or the true as, for example, the Amex Platinum's Priority Pass or the Capital One's Priority Pass, where you don't get access to those locations. Now, cards like the Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite Credit Card and the US Bank Altitude Reserve Card, they do have Priority Pass memberships that do also get you into restaurants. They do also get to those non-lounge types of places, but they have limitations like limited number of authorized users and number of guests too. And so, but that's kind of a different discussion for a different day. The point is, on the Chase Sapphire Reserve Card, it's the most powerful Priority Pass, but it's limited to 2 free guests, right? On the other hand, the Ritz-Carlton card gets unlimited guests. And this is something that's very well known. I kind of overlooked this in my last live stream, but that's actually very powerful. So you get on the Ritz-Carlton card, free authorized users, you get unlimited users, and you get unlimited guests with the Priority Pass on the card. So that's really, really good. So if that's your goal, to get the most powerful Priority Pass in the most flexible way as possible, the Ritz-Carlton card is the way to go, hands down. And so if you look at the next slide here, we want to go back to the Sapphire Lounge. And I thought it'd be hard to figure out where these cards are used, but really what I learned from this experience is that going to the simplest solution or the simplest area is going to be the best way to go. Because if you go to the Sapphire Lounge website, and it's a little hard to find, not really. If you go to the first question on the FAQ section, it actually literally says what cards you can use for the Sapphire Lounge. So there's obviously one in Boston, one in Hong Kong, and other ones are open up as well. But the question you look for is which Chase Sapphire customers have complimentary access to Sapphire Lounge by the club. And it says very specifically the Sapphire Reserve, the JP Morgan Reserve, and the Ritz-Carlton credit card. All 3 of those can get you into the Sapphire Lounge. Also, if you look further down, it says Sapphire Reserve and JP Morgan members may bring up to 2 guests per Priority Pass per visit for free, and additional guests for $27. The Ritz-Carlton card, on the other hand, may bring unlimited guests at no charge. So it's not like Chase is really hiding this. It's on their website directly. And so looking at the website is what I should have done before I made that, announcement on the last live stream, but you live and learn. So thank you again so much to those of you guys who actually commented and let me know that I was incorrect. And I really welcome that kind of feedback, because that's how I learn too. And so, and we can all learn together that way as well. So let's go ahead and look at the next exception of this, though, because there's Sapphire Lounges, but there's also that Sapphire Terrace in Austin. So that's the one that's the exception. And in this one, if you look at the first FAQ section on that, it says the Sapphire Reserve and the JP Morgan card can get into it with 2 guests, but there's no mention of the Ritz-Carlton card. So you actually can't use the Ritz-Carlton card to get into the Chase Sapphire Terrace in Austin. And so if that's your thing, then the Chase Sapphire Reserve card is the way to go. And so I say all of this to say that the Ritz-Carlton card is a really great card to do priority passes with authorized users. Again, the easiest way to do that, if you look at the video I posted a long time ago about the Marriott cards, is boundless first, wait a year. After a year, you can product change to the Ritz-Carlton card. That's the best way to go, in my opinion. You do have to have $10,000 of credit limit available, as well as that 1 year of history with the boundless card. But once you do that, you can start kind of accruing those authorized users and priority passes and get the most powerful one you possibly can. So that's my slide of that. By the way, if I said anything that was incorrect in that last section, please let me know down in the chat or in the comments. If this you were watching on the replay, again, I tried to do my best to be as accurate as possible with this, but just to make sure that I am, make sure to keep me in check and keep me in line. So we have a break. Excellent. So we're going to go back to the chat here. Let's take a look. So we have here, Yo-Yo says it's really cool how you all support each other. Great to see. Absolutely. We're all positive here in the community, at least the YouTube community. We try to do our best to make sure we all, succeed, and we do that thing. We're all, the rising tide lifts all boats. That's really what we're all about here. Zizis, I'm gonna get this wrong the entire time. Zizis Christ asks, what's your favorite place to visit / vacation within the US? And that's pretty easy for me, that would be Las Vegas. I love Las Vegas. It's so close to where I live. I can drive there within 4 or 5 hours, or I can fly for 30 minutes if I wanted to. Just for a weekend trip, we can get away. There's plenty of options with the FHR hotels. Although I have seen recently that I think it's the Bellagio and the Cosmopolitan has fallen off FHR, which kind of sucks. But there still is Palazzo, there still is Conrad, and so there's a lot of things we can do still with the FHR program at the Las Vegas area. And, it's just fun to just be there and enjoy the sights and eat a lot of good food. I do gamble sometimes. It's not something I primarily do in Las Vegas, but, I do from time to time. It's mostly just restaurants and eating really good food, just kind of getting out of kind of the rut and kind of uh, doing things like over and over again. And so that would be my favorite place to visit and vacation in the United States for you. Peter Pan or the Pan asks, you mentioned a way to get personalized help. How does one make that happen? Very easy. All you got to do is email me. My email is actually in my YouTube. I think it's the about section or something. It's my publicly available email address. If you have a question, we can definitely interface there. And so I do offer as personal help sessions, coaching sessions. I don't do it that often, and I don't really advertise it because it does take some time. And when you do ask for personalized help, I do really deep dive into a lot more than I do in these live streams or in my videos for that matter. Because when you look at credit cards in general, a lot of times it really depends on the situation, the context. And so if I don't know your specific context, one card may not be the right recommendation for you, or this one pathway may not be the right recommendation for you, depending on kind of your situation. So I really deep dive into those things. So if that's interesting to you, just go ahead and send me an email. I'm happy to answer them, and we can kind of go from there. All right. Venture wants to do a 99 plus priority pass party. That is awesome. That would be so much fun. One thing I want to mention about the priority pass lounges too is that there are limits in terms of if the lounge itself is like, no, we only offer 2 free guests or no guests. You got to abide by what the lounge says. But if they don't say that, then yes, let's just bring up everybody. Let's just do like a meetup in a lounge, and it's going to be a great time. We can get a lot of good content from that as well. So that'll be really, really good. Okay, call me Lonnie. I use here in the chat my first stand live. Hey everyone, happy Saturday. Call me Lonnie. Thank you so much for the chat. And also thank you so much for stopping by, and congrats on your 1K subscribers. I heard that you're also doing some live streams in the future too. So looking forward to seeing those from you as well. CSR's here. Happy to see you live, bro. Happy to see you too, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, we have Alex Osmond here. Stan, do AMEX Platinum FHR credits stack with AMEX special offers Marriott? I have a special offer for spend $300 at Marriott and receive 120 credit, if not any workarounds. So my initial thought is no. And the reason for that is when you purchase something on FHR, it codes as AMEX Travel, not Marriott. So I have to look at the actual special offer you have. And as I'm sure you all know, always make sure to look at the terms and conditions of the offer, because sometimes it's like very, very specific. And so if you look at most of the offers, it's like you must purchase on Marriott.com in this certain time frame with this certain like hotel property and that sort of thing. And so I don't think you can actually combine the two of them. I wish there was a workaround to this. There's not one that I'm aware of. The only one I can think of is that there's an AMEX offer that's only about like cash value, like if you spend this much money, you get this much back. That's the only thing I can think of that's a workaround. But if anyone else has a answer to this, let me know down in the chat, and that will be helpful to see. David Williams here. Welcome, David. An outdoor lounge at an airport in Texas. Yes, that Austin Sapphire Lounge is it's pretty nice. Again, only Sapphire Reserve card and the JP Morgan Chase card can access it. But if you're in Austin, maybe worthwhile to consider. Jake Andy asks, question for Stan, what niche do you think is missing or underserved from the current lineup of credit card channels on YouTube? That's a really good, great question, Jake. I think it's pretty well covered. I would say that if anything, local credit union cards are not as well covered. But the thing is, because it's so specific and so super niche, I don't think there's going to be a lot of views on that type of video. Although if you incorporate that into a video with more popular cards, maybe that's a way for us to see what new cards or what credit union cards are going to be comparable to these cards that we talk about a lot. I know that there's a big Navy Federal group. And so if you have a Navy Federal card, there's a whole like credit card niche devoted specifically to Navy Federal, to things like PenFed and those credit unions. And so that's something that I know is also very popular. So I don't think it's really missing or underserved. I would say that if a credit card's not being covered, generally speaking, it's not something that is either widely known or really national enough for a huge audience to learn about them. That's all I say about that. Okay, SM Chauvin asks, is car rental elite status worthy? I always find, although they claim there is discount on Visa Infinite, the cost is always higher than what I see from the regular fee. That's interesting. I guess it depends on which car rental service you use. I personally use Avis, and in Avis they do actually give me a discount on my rental cars. So I use the Avis preferred, I think it's preferred plus from the Amex Platinum card. And I've never had that issue come up. Obviously, this is Amex. You asked actually about Visa Infinite, so there's that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I've always had good experiences with rental status and elite status, and so I just, obviously, it's important to check the price when you do the rental car. But I would say that elite status, for my experience, has been very positive. Chad Money Minutes here in the chat. What's up, Chad? Great to see you. Thanks for coming by. Chad's a new member. Thank you so much, Chad, for joining the membership. Jake is here as well. Hey, Stan. Hey, Jake. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for asking the question on that last live stream. Appreciate that. And let's see here. Okay, so we have a lot more people talking. I was spending more time in the chat just to kind of get things covered here. Keith S says 80 people hit on the live. Everyone hit the like button. Yes, please. Everyone hit the like button if you can. I have this banner here too, just for that purpose. So don't forget the like button to hit that like button if you're getting value. Very important. Appreciate that so much. Thank you, Keith, for announcing that as well. And let's see, you're going to go back up here. So I have E360 View for Ritz-Carlton credit cards, 10,000 limit, min limit to product transfer. If you have a Marriott boundless 5K limit, but have other Chase CCs that have more limit, can you shift other credit limits to get 10K minimum? The answer is yes, you actually can do that. Just call them up, just say, hey, I have this card and this other card, I want to transfer limit over. That'll totally work. So that you're definitely in the clear there. Definitely. All right. All right. So Paul Grace asks, is having Amex Gold worthy it in 2024? It depends on the person, right? And so we'll kind of go over that more later in the live stream. But yeah, I mean, it depends on the person. There's a whole like movement now against these statement credits that are monthly, including myself. And that's kind of shying me away from things. So that's something that's really, really important to know too. So it depends on kind of how much you spend on money, how much you spend on food, excuse me, because that's really going to be what drives your membership rewards points earnings on the Gold Card, and if it's worth it for you with or without the statement credits. We got a super chat here. Oh, sorry about that. Let me just take this off of the banner. Okay. And then go at the comments. Okay. Super chat here. Mr. Tyler Phillips, $9.99. Thank you so much for the $10 spot. I appreciate it, sir. The Fidelity cash management account. I've seen some confusing things about it to cost to use at the moment overseas. You have info on that? Its terms are confusing on transaction fees. I haven't looked into it recently as I had been when I was doing my Backdoor Roth IRA video. I only really use that account for myself to transfer money into my traditional IRA for the Backdoor Roth. From what I understand, it does not have any ATM withdrawal fees. But again, I'd have to look at the terms and conditions about that in terms of what the cost is. I don't think there are any transaction fees either, but I would have to, again, go back and check it out. So maybe I'll touch back with you later once I kind of go over those terms and conditions, because at this point, I don't really know. I don't want to give you the wrong information. Luke's Points and Miles up in the house. What's up, pimps and players? Luke, always a funny man. All right. Well, yes, we are all pimps and players here in the house. So appreciate you for joining, Luke. Luke and I have something very special planned for you in the future. So keep tuned for that. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for being here. And then Joe Barreto, hola mi gente. I don't know if I said that correctly. This live is great. Love the vibe. Thank you so much, Joe. I'm trying to, improve every single time I do a live stream. And so we're doing that. So I really appreciate that. Okay. So I'm going to stop right there because I got to get into this presentation more, because we have a lot of questions to answer from people that ask questions on the community post. So we'll go through that a few of those, and then we'll come back to the chat. So first thing from my boy, Matt Welcher, asked me a question. If you had to pick between spending your points on a luxury hotel for 3 nights or a first-class international seat, lay flat and all that, which would you pick? And so it's a good question. I think it depends on what you are looking for and what point system you're using, right? And so if you said this with American Express MR points, I will probably say the lie flat seat, not because I think the experience will be better, because as we all know, MR points are best used for international first business and travel. We don't like typically to transfer points to Hilton and Marriott, although when there's transfer bonuses, it does make a little bit more sense. It really depends on what you're looking for. But to answer this question better, I do have a slide to show you visuals. So I want you to picture this scenario for yourself. So you're flying to Tokyo, and just so you guys know, Narita Airport is in Tokyo. It's NRT, that's the code. LAX is Los Angeles Airport. So the Los Angeles Airport to Tokyo is about 12 hours long, and I use the United Polaris, picture just for to show it's something that is going to be a great time in the business class or first class seats. You're going to lie flat. You're going to have nice food. You're going to have nice drinks. It's going to be much more comfortable than being an economy and premium economy as well. But I want you to contrast that to if you were to stay at the Ritz-Carlton in Tokyo for 3 days. And so the thing about hotels is that you can also lie flat in hotels too, right? And so the thing is, not only can you lie flat, but there's a lot more space, and you also get to spend usually more time in the hotel too. And so if you look at these pictures and you think about what would I want to spend my points on, in my mind, except for that American Express MR point exception I talked about earlier, I would 100% choose the hotel for 3 days opposed to the airplane for 12 hours. Again, it's going to depend on the point system you use, but just based on the fact you can really stay in a nice hotel for a longer period and maybe get amenities in a hotel too. For example, if you're get status, you get free breakfast, you get all these different things, as well as maybe suite upgrades or room upgrades. There's a lot of awesome things that you can do with that hotel, and so I think that's kind of what I would say about that question. And I would certainly prefer the hotel over the airplane. Although, obviously, I'm just like the rest of you. I would love a lie flat seat. One of the things I want to mention too is that it also depends on your body size. So I'm not tall like Spencer Johnson, who's 6'7". I'm not super buff like Luke from Loose Points and Miles. I'm like an average sized dude, right? And so if I sit in economy or premium economy, like it's actually pretty comfortable, except for the not lie flat seat part of it. Everything is fine. So I don't necessarily need to go into a lie flat seat to make my experience comfortable. I know I'm going to Japan already, so I think that's pretty awesome. So if I knew that my hotel was going to be great when I landed, regardless of the lounges, regardless of the airplane, I would prefer to have a nice hotel to stay at, because that's really when you'll be spending the majority of your time during your trip. Okay, so that moves on to our next question from Mr. Shad Kerr. Shad's been a member for the channel for about a year now, so I really appreciate you, buddy. I know you're always coming on my channels, coming on my videos as well, so I appreciate all that support. He says, big fan of the channel. What tools do you use to track your points and miles? Any that you like to share? And this is kind of an underwhelming answer, but sometimes I think it's important to show that simplicity is okay. And so I use a very simple tool to track points and miles, which is free, and that is Microsoft Excel. And so these are my points, what they look like on Excel. I basically go in there like once per quarter, and I basically update these points just to see and all the different ecosystems that I track. And these are the ones I typically track myself. And I just updated this list about a week ago. And so you can see that I have Amex points, Marriott, Chase, Bilt, Hilton, US Bank, and Southwest. The US Bank point system is generally the one that's lowest, because I just redeem those as fast as I possibly can. I don't wait for them to build up if I can. I just, once I get a targeted 1.5x redemption, and we'll go over that in a moment, by the way, because the next question will go into that. Once I get an RTR redemption that's 1.5 on top of the 3.5x from the mobile wallet, it's gone. And I love that about US Bank, because I get immediate value so fast. So it's really awesome. My Southwest Bank is really low because, as we all remember, or maybe not, on January 1st, they did devalue their points. It's now like 1.3 cents per point as opposed to 1.4. So I basically took my entire Southwest Bank and just redeemed like anything I possibly could. So it's super low now, and I'm really proud of that. The other ones, I just make sure I look at them, make sure I kind of understand where they have, what's the numbers are going on. And so Excel is the way to do it. It's not that hard. It takes me like maybe 5 minutes. I don't have to really, it's not super fancy, but fancy is not always going to be the best answer. As long as you understand where your points are, what the number is, and like what you want to do with them, you can use Excel, and I think that's totally fine. Okay, so Jim is the next question here. Jim is a new member, so thank you, Jim, for joining the membership. He asked this question about the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve. Stan, do you have any experience using the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve overseas? My understanding is that those purchases typically do not trigger real-time rewards. I'm hoping they do still count as 3x points if Apple Pay or travel purchases. Meaning, for example, if I use my Altitude Reserve to pay at checkout for a hotel in Europe, my understanding is that it would not trigger RTR, or but would at least count as 3x points. Do you have an experience with that? So my first answer is no, I don't have any personal experience with that, but I have looked up your question and try to figure out what the answer would be to that. I know that if you look at Apple Pay specifically, there is a list of foreign countries that do accept Apple Pay. For example, Japan is one of them that's on the list. However, Thailand is not one of them. So, for example, if I went overseas to those two places for my honeymoon, for example, I would probably use the Apple Pay in Japan and expect the Rex points back, but I would not necessarily expect it back in Thailand, which is not a official Apple Pay provider. Um, I also want to cover the point about the 3x points at different uh, international locations because that's pretty important. I want to cover this too, just because I know there's been a lot of people on my channel that have told me that they've recently got the US Bank Altitude Reserve card. And the best way to get that 1.5x redemption is when you sign up for real-time rewards, you can check off boxes of which categories you can do the real-time rewards with. And so to get the maximum amount, it's going to be airline, car rental, lodging, and other travel. And so if you check those boxes, when you do your purchase in those categories, it'll send you the text message and you'll get that 1.5 for sure because you don't have to do the math in your head. But if you check things like groceries and restaurants, which are options, it'll only give you the 1x redemption. So just make sure when you get that real-time reward set up to only check these 4 boxes as well. And so I wanted to cover that because if in the quest to look for the answer to your question, I found this website in real time in the US Bank website that actually talks about exactly what is going on there. So the terms and conditions of real-time rewards says that real-time rewards text messages are available only for transactions with US merchants. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be accepted by international merchants, but it does mean that you have to be careful in what you choose. And so again, this goes back to the point we all have to crowdsource our data. And fortunately, Frequent Miler has done this already and has a website here. And I apologize for the length of the website, which is obviously optimized for SEO, but kind of annoying to type out. But you probably Google it in some way and figure it out. Basically, you have a list of the US Bank Altitude Reserve card and purchases on different airlines versus hotels overseas and which ones had that real-time rewards come up successfully for the 1.5x thing. So you can see on the screen here, a lot of things come up, like, for example, Avianca is on there. You see British Airways is on there. Cathay Pacific award fees are on there as too. You see Emirates, Etihad. And so you can see that there's a number of airlines that can actually get that RTR redemption. If you kind of scroll down the website, which I can't do right now, but if you scroll down, the hotels, they're generally speaking, they're not going to have you that. So for your specific question about, a hotel in Europe getting RTR, I don't expect that to happen just based off of the data points that are provided on this website. So that's answered that question. And I think that covers it for now. So let's go back to the chat. Let's see here. Where was I? So, okay. Right. There we go here. Back up to Jake here. So Jake, are there any airports that you fly regularly into and out to? If so, have you gotten cards specifically because of airlines that are hubbed there? Yes. So I do fly regularly out of Ontario in Southern California, as well as Sacramento in Northern California. And those two airports, usually they have Southwest. So I fly Southwest typically, but I got the platinum card for that reason, because I fly a lot, through those airports. And because of the lounges there there's an Aspire lounge in Ontario. There's the Centurion Lounge, and not sorry, it's a Escape Lounge by the Centurion Network in Sacramento. The platinum card works best for me there, so I've actually used the card quite a good deal for those two airports, since those are my most common ones. And so that's the answer to that. Right, moving down here, we have Edward Acevedo. As a person who only has a chance to fly once a year because of my job and trying to save money on travel, been hard decided on a lounge card and stuck between the Venture X or the Altitude Reserve. I think those are both very good cards. I would say it depends on what you're looking for. The Venture X clearly has the advantage in terms of they have travel partners. So if that's something you're looking for, that would be something to think about. You may be able to use that card as your catch-all for the entire year and then accrue enough Capital One miles to book like that one flight a year or one trip a year you said that you would do. So that would be something to think about, depending on if you wanted to use the transfer partners associated with Capital One. Ultra Reserve, I mean, I love that card. That's my favorite card of all time at this point. That mobile wallet category is just so powerful, and coupled with that RTR we discussed before, that 1.5x redemption makes it 4.5x on basically all mobile wallet purchases if you redeem it correctly. So if you want some quick cash that's very valuable, and you just want to just do more of a cashback setup, the US Bank Ultra Reserve will be better for you. Okay. Elisa asks, "Hey Sam, what do you think of the sign up bonus for the Amex Blue Business Cash earned $750 after 15,000 spend in 12 months?" I think it's great. I mean, I think that if you can spend 15,000 in 12 months, which is about maybe a little over $1,000 a month, you can get 750. I think that's great. Usually it doesn't have a high welcome offer like that. Sometimes if you're not as big of a spender or not wanting to put that much spend on the Blue Business Cash specifically, there are other ones that are like $3,000 of spend for a little bit less than that. Maybe like 150, 250. I'm not sure what the number is, but I would look into those too if you don't want to really commit to a 12-month situation and with $15,000 in spend. Doug Bujakowski asks, "I want to get a BOA preferred rewards on the business side. How does a Merrill business investment account work? I've never invested business assets before." So, from what I understand, from what I've seen on the website, basically you can open up a brokerage just like you would on the personal side, and you just invest those assets there, just like you would do with a business CD versus a personal CD. They're just mirror images of each other, but they have to be on the business side. So you would invest your business funds into that brokerage, obviously take the capital gains and losses as they come up, but that's how you would be able to get preferred rewards on the business side from a brokerage, for example. I think if you're not to the level yet of investing assets from your business side, CDs are actually really good right now. I think the business CD last I checked in Bank of America was about like 4.9% or something on the business side, which is really, really good for, I think it was 7 to 13 months, one of those two. So look at the business CDs too. If you want to just do a smaller investment and not have to deal with the market kind of going up and down and stuff, that's something that I'd look into as well. Okay. Sandra Joel with a great comment. With the gold, if you spend at least 525 combined in those Forex categories, you'll get 25K MR points and break even without using any credit. Thank you so much, Cesar. That was a very insightful comment. Very, very good, because I couldn't do the math, obviously, while I'm on the live stream, but you did. And so if you spend 525 combined, it sounds like it's per month, you'll end up getting that 25K MR points. And that can be extrapolated too. If you spend 1,000 on food per month, $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month on food, you can see how much bigger those MR point earning gets. So if you can get to that level of spending food, and I'm not saying I want to encourage that, but if that's something you normally do already, the gold card would probably be the best food card for you, even though there's statement credits on it. I think that's what Amex's goal is to have you avoid or ignore the statement credits and just spend on their card. And so there's that part of it too. The pen says, "In my opinion, Amex Green Card is underrated. It appears to be better travel card, and Clear Plus is free, which costs more than the annual fee." Yeah, I mean, I think if the Green Card, if you want to use it for Clear and you can get value out of that, that's a great card to use. Clearly has a lower annual fee of $150. Has a little bit more of a travel category. It's more generalizable. It has travel and transit, plus that 3x on restaurants. So you have to look at kind of what you're looking for. And I think if you're kind of more of a occasional traveler, the Green Card is definitely a great option. Okay. Let's see. SM Shawban asks, "I think CSR has to be updated." I agree. It does. What changes do you think CSR want to go to remain competitive? It's hard to really predict those things. I think it just has to be, from my perspective, they have to make the multipliers different than the other cards, because right now the other cards are pretty much the same, and to pay a 550 annual fee on that card and also get the same multipliers is kind of like, it's okay, but it's like make it a little bit worth it. At least, even Capital One, like in the Saver One versus Saver card, they have like a little bit of an increase in the 3% versus 4% on those elevated categories. So I think that's the one thing I would say to make them more competitive. I would say they also have to probably offer more perks as well, although I don't know specifically what the best ones would be, because I don't want to encourage more statement credits or more things like that. So we'll have to kind of see what they do with that. Cesar says, with the Saver One, you don't need to spend a single dollar to make sense, but you won't earn the amount of point the gold earns. Again, a very, very insightful comment. We all like praise the Saber One card. And I think from a simplicity standpoint and a smaller spend standpoint, it is a great, fantastic card. But again, if you're banging out a bunch of spend and you're like, I want to get the Capital One Saber card for $900, just get the gold card, honestly, because at that point you can get a lot better value from the gold card, even if you don't do the statement credits. Right. And so we're all making sure that everyone knows that Spencer is 6'7". Anthony recommends that, or he says that as well as Luke. He's definitely a big basketball player, definitely for sure. And Cesar also commented Spencer is one tall, exotic looking guy. He is. I love Spencer. That guy's a man. So if you guys haven't checked out his channel, definitely check it out. But he works super hard. He works super hard for all you guys. And so I definitely show him some love if you can when you get a chance. Okay, so Ken V asked, if I join the military and get waiver for annual fees, what would be the best route to start for the best benefit down the line? I think there is no route from what I'm thinking about your question. I think it's mostly just you get as many as you can while you're in the military, and then you have to kind of downsize as soon as you get out because they'll start charging annual fees. I don't know if there's a specific route that I would go. I would probably start with obviously higher annual fee cards first because you can and they're waived. But that's kind of the route I would go, I guess. Okay, Matt, and thanks for the answer. Absolutely, Matt, you're welcome. Let's see here. Liz Wrights on Hustle says, I have a video up about my trip to Kyoto, Japan. You might want to check out. Absolutely. I'll definitely check that out. I definitely want to see kind of everyone's travel plans and if they've been to places I'm going to, and I think that goes for everybody out here, definitely check out other channels. That's why we all do the credit card points and miles thing on YouTube, whether it be from the credit card side versus the travel side. I think all of that data is really helpful for us to really make that redemption, just as worth it as high as we possibly can, make it really, really worth it. So definitely, Lynn, I'll check that out for sure. All right. Ninja says someone's going to have a life-size Spencer cardboard cut out their vid backgrounds. Yeah, that'd be really funny if someone did that. So we'll have to figure out who's going to do that. But that's pretty awesome. Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. We're going to kind of go on to our next set of questions here. And so the next question comes from Billiam. It's a little bit longer, but there's actually a lot of information and a lot of good learning I think we can do from this one question because I think it will apply to a lot of you. So let's go over it first and go from there. William asks, I'm a big fan of the channel. I got the US Bank Altitude Reserve card after watching your video on it. Honestly, I love the card. Thanks, Stan. And you're welcome. I think that card is, again, fantastic. If you are okay with a cashback or a hybrid setup, that is literally the card to get. It's so powerful, and I can't say enough good things about it. As someone who only travels domestically and is based in Boston, I'm debating whether it's more beneficial to stay in the Chase ecosystem or Amex's ecosystem. There's a new Chase Lounge here, so I'm considering upgrading my CSP to CSR. However, I also have a good amount of MR points from my AMEX Gold card, and I've thought about getting the AMEX Platinum card as well. I can't decide, so I'm wondering if you have any advice on whether I should stick to Chase or AMEX as a domestic traveler. My lifestyle is very average. I don't spend a lot of money, and I don't eat out too much. However, my biggest spending category is food. Thanks so much, Dan. Please keep up the great work. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack in that question. So this is kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of go back over it again. So like I said before, he has a US Bank Altitude Reserve card. So if you think you're okay with a hybrid setup, you already have the first piece of that, which is that US Bank card covering all those mobile wallet categories. You did mention you're based in Boston, right? And so if you're based in Boston, we all just kind of covered earlier in this live stream is that Chase Sapphire Lounge is actually also going to be in Boston. So you have the Ritz-Carlton card and the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. In this question, we're talking about the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. So that is something that you may want to consider getting if you don't have access to the Ritz-Carlton card. Right now, you said you have the CSP card because you want to upgrade it to the CSR. So you have the CSP card, you have the AMEX Gold card, and you have the US Bank Altitude Reserve card currently, but you're also considering the Platinum card. Now, when you say you want the Platinum card, I didn't see a reason of why you wanted to get it. And I think that's a really big thing we have to discuss because we don't get the Platinum card just to get the Platinum card unless you want to get it for the welcome offer. That's the only exception. If you want to get the Platinum card for the welcome offer, then by all means, get the best offer you can. Be like Jake Mercure and get that 150K offer and just call it a day. If you can meet the minimum spend requirement, of course. But if you can't do that, then I wouldn't say get the Platinum card just yet. Just wait till you have a lot of those the money available to actually do that. And so you also mentioned you're not a big spender, so that's also probably, in my opinion, a negative towards getting the platinum card. But you do mention your food's the highest spend. But because you said you don't eat out too much, my thought and my inference, I would say, is that groceries is going to be greater than dining for you. And so because of that, I think you have two options. The first option here is to kind of stick with what you got and also upgrade to the Chase Sapphire Reserve card. The reason why I say that is because, as you know, the Chase Sapphire Reserve has 3x on dining, which is, it's not as good as the MX Gold card. But if you say you don't spend a lot of money, then having that 3x versus 4x is not going to be the biggest deal, and you'll still get a lot of UR points, and you'll also get access to that Chase Sapphire Lounge in Boston like you wanted to, which is kind of the whole point of the question. So I think that would be a good option. And then you have the US Bank Ultra Reserve card to cover everything else with a mobile wallet, including groceries. If you're using the gold card for groceries, my guess is you don't spend money at Walmart or whatever, those other Target, those places that don't code as groceries. You probably spend at places that are typical grocery stores. And so those usually have tap to pay using Apple Pay or whatever your mobile wallet of choice is. And so if your mobile wallet is going to be going for groceries and you cover the dining with the Chase App Reserve, I think this is a great option for you. It's option one. I do put option two out there just to give you a visual of what you could if you don't do what option one is. And so you still have that mobile wallet on the reserve card and the gold card on the SCSP. I don't see where the platinum card though fits in here other than maybe you want a welcome offer. So again, clarification is helpful, but it's important for I think everyone here to just understand that the platinum card is a high annual fee, $695. It's got a ton of statement credits, $1,500 in value, but it may not be something that's worth it for you because it is one of those cards that is only really recommended if you spend a lot of money in those certain categories as well as you travel a lot too. So you get the most amount of value out of that card. Like if I didn't travel so much domestically, I wouldn't have the platinum card. It's kind of the bottom line. Do I like FHR? Yes. But like it's not something that I would keep. It's only because of the situation I'm in that I'm keeping that card open for my specific situation. So just keep that in mind. Again, if you want for the welcome offer, go for it. But I think that's what I would say for that question. So hope that was helpful, William. And so we'll kind of move on to the next question after that. This is a question from RemGB. Again, he asked a question here. Good friend of the channel, has really good insightful comments. Happy to understand being an economy traveler and traveling with kids during school vacations, peak, I am more and more attracted to Chase and away from Amex. Can easily get 1.5 cent per point for my Chase points using CSR, but struggle to get good economy redemptions using Amex points using transfer partners. I am struggling to liquidate Amex points for a decent value despite having Amex Business Platinum that gives 50% points back. I think that's a typo, by the way. I think he meant 35% points back. The Business Centurion gets you 50% points back. So if you have that card at MGB, that's super awesome. But I think you meant to say 35%. Issue is that it only works for one domestic airline that you need to pick in advance, which is also true, by the way. You have to pick one airline for that redemption to occur, just like you would for the alien incidental credit too. Any advice? Amex keeps coming with super offers, and he's referring to welcome offers, which is why he's probably getting a lot of these MR points in general. Just a pro tip, if you use VPN to Middle America like St. Louis or Kansas City and use Edge browser, you can easily pull up 190K Business Platinum and 150K Business Gold offers. And so I think that's actually really interesting, and I'm going to try that next time up for a Business Gold or Business Platinum card to see if that's true. I mean, I'm always in the lookout for those types of offers. So thanks for that, insight. So in terms of the question, though, yes. So to liquidate Amex points, it is very complicated if you do not fly internationally, which is like we always say. MR points MR points are best used for first international travel. So to use it as a domestic traveler, there's only a few things I can think of. You're already doing the right thing, which is doing the business platinum with a 35% airline rebate. And I think that's actually the highest value you can get back when you redeem with points, because I think when you do the math, it's like 1.57 cents per point when you do that rebate. So it's pretty good. Not as good as a CSR in terms of like ease of use, because not everyone's going to have a business platinum to do this, but something that, I think you're doing the right way. You also have the Charles Schwab option, which is the 1.1 cent per point redemption. That one's super easy, kind of like the low hanging fruit situation if you want to liquidate it, if you don't have an international flight planned. You also have transfer partners too. And I say this and I don't have a lot of knowledge about this, but I know that this is possible. I understand that it's pretty difficult to do these types of domestic redemptions through transfer partners, but that is one way for you to do that. So, for example, Aeroplan to United with the Star Alliance. I think there's also Turkish Miles and Smiles to United. There's also BA Avios to American Airlines. I think Virgin Atlantic does that too. I'm not sure. Check with Luke. He would know. But those are ways to do that if you want to go down that road too. That would probably be the best way to alternatively get those redemptions on the domestic side. We have a super chat from the Pan. Thank you, the Pan. $10. Just want to send a thank you. Thank you so much, the Pan. I really appreciate that. I will feature the Pan in one of my videos. He asked a really, really great question on one of my other videos. I think it was my 5% cashback on everything video. And so I'm going to incorporate that into a really exciting video I have coming up for you guys the next month or so. So keep an eye out for that for sure. But the Pan, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate the 10 spot. Okay, so I think the next question here is from AP. And so AP asks, hey, Stan, would you consider a video sometime on one card setups or maybe talking about this in a live? I plan on getting basically all the cards for the welcome offers, which I think you should, but I still think it'd be a fun one to think about. US Bar, Venture X, the Luxury B of A card, which is, I think, we're referring to as a Premium Rewards Elite credit card, just to name a few. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on how all these kinds of cards compare. Congrats on the new biz cards. I thought it would be a good video to make, but I think I want to cover it just really briefly in this live stream just to kind of get the message out there. So he did mention, I think, what are the 3 top one card setups to use. So, I saw this from Keith. Thank you, Keith, for putting this out there. Keith says that 30% Hilton transfer bonus is a pretty good way to liquidate MR points if you're not interested in international travel. Thank you, Keith. That is a very good point too. So transfer bonuses from hotel chains can also be a very good way to liquidate those points. And Chad also mentioned something here. Aeroplan won't let you book domestic travel solely in the US. Thank you for that, Chad. I didn't know that, so I appreciate the correction. Your best bet would be to use British Airways, Turkish, but availability is limited, and Virgin Atlantic to crush US travel. Perfect, Chad. Thank you so much for that. That's why we asked Chad these questions, because he does these things himself, so he knows. I don't travel as much internationally as much as I'd like to, as I'm sure you all know. So that's why I really fall back on people like Chad, like Uncle Luke, like on JP, to really figure out like what's going on. Okay, sorry, back to this question. So one card setup. So there's 3 of them here: the US Bank Altitude Reserve, the Venture X, and the Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite credit card. And so for the US Bank Altitude Reserve, obviously you have that 3x mobile wallet. It covers a lot of things, and it's only got an annual fee of $400 and has a really great $325 travel and dining statement credit that's annual. And so I think that's a really great setup to have if you've noticed that your mobile wallets are what you really spend all your money in. And that's kind of my experience. When I look back at my previous purchases, they were almost all mobile wallets. And so that's why this card was a perfect card for me. But that may not be the case for you. And if that's not the case, it's a different card's probably better. And the problem with the US Bank Altitude Reserve card, though, is that it doesn't have like transfer partners, and it doesn't have a really like a good priority pass or access to get to those lounges. It's like limited to 8 people or 8 times. So it's not as good as, for example, the Venture X, which does have transfer partners. And that's kind of its claim to fame between these 3 cards. At $395, getting 2x on your non-category spend. And there's other multipliers, obviously, but we're just focused on the one card situation. And so the Capital Venture X, they get you that 2x category spend. Their points can transfer out to transfer partners. And you also get a priority path that's unlimited, although it is limited by only lounges, not non-lounges like restaurants and other things like that. The Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite credit card, it gets you the most amount of non-category spend if you are platinum honors or above in their system. That is by far, I think, the best catch-all credit card if you can get to that rewards area through the preferred rewards. And it has that $550 annual fee, of course, but it has those, there's a $300 incidental credit, there's a $150 lifestyle credit, and so it can be taken down. And we'll go over this in a little more detail in a future question, but basically this card is good if you're like more of a cashback person. We don't want to forget also that 20% airline redemption that gives you a 1.25 cent per point redemption on redemptions on airlines through the Bank of America travel portal. So there's also that benefit too. But honestly, the reserve card, the Altitude Reserve card, as well as Premium Elite card, those are mostly cashback cards. Whereas the Capital and Venture X, that's one that you could use for a one carder if you want to use it for getting transferable currency, as well as I think other travel benefits like the Capital One Lounge as well. I forgot to say that at the beginning. There are other one card setups too that are not as well known as these 3 cards. I want to cover them right now because I think it's worth mentioning. And if you haven't heard of them, then you're going to be amazed, but if you probably have. So these are no annual fee one card setups. And so what this is the PayPal MasterCard and the Alliant Visa Signature Card from Alliant Bank, which is a credit union. I guess Alliant Credit Union. So the first one is the PayPal MasterCard, and basically it gets you no annual fee on everything, but you get 3% on PayPal. So one of the downsides of the Altitude Reserve card is that PayPal or any online purchases may not be covered because Apple Pay does cover some online stuff, but just not as much as PayPal. So if you do a lot more online shopping, you can certainly use PayPal for that. And this is going to make it a lot better for you as an online shopping card at 3% for no annual fee. So I think it's good as a combination. Or if you want to have a one card setup like we're discussing, this would be a great one card setup. Of course, if you want to have a card with Synchrony Bank, that's a different discussion for a different time. But PayPal, MasterCard, good option. The other option is the Alliant Visa Signature Card. It gets you 2.5% on everything up to $10,000 per month. So basically, that's for most people is going to be fine. That's actually the closest I saw that came to the Bank of America Primrose Elite Credit Card at 2.625. But the issue with the Alliant Credit Union is that you have to be what they call a tier one member. And it's not something that's crazy. It's nothing that's complicated. It's basically you have to have a checking account with $1,000 in it, and you have to have a direct deposit into it as well. But the direct deposit could also be from ACH transfer. So it's nothing like you can automate that, and that's totally fine. So if you don't mind doing that, I think the Alliant Credit Union card, it's called the Visa Signature, is actually a really great catch-all credit card just in general. But if you wanted to have a simple no annual fee one card setup, that would be a great card to consider as well. Okay, we got a break. So let's go ahead and catch up on the chat here. Let's see. Here we go. Here we go. So Thomas Hapiak says, denied BOA Bank of America Alaska business card, lack of relationship, and something that sounded like velocity. Is it worth my time and time to move my retirement account over than recon? I think it's worth moving your retirement account over if you think you're going to be with Bank of America long term. I think the relationship is important with Bank of America, especially to get to those preferred reward statuses to give you those higher values. Obviously, you're doing this for the Alaska business card, so it's a little bit different in terms of that's not going to be apply to you, but that still is a very, very good card. And so having some kind of relationship with them would be helpful. So if you think you would like to do that, you can. I think if you were more hesitant to move all your assets over, I would go ahead and actually do your checking account instead, or open a checking account, something simple, put like some money in there and just have it like sit there, and that will build a relationship instead. I think that may be a less riskier way to do it because it'd be unfortunate to have you move your whole retirement account over and then not like them and move it all the way back. It's just a lot of like hassle. I wouldn't do that and then call recon. I think you have to have some level of timing with relationships. So I think on the next go around, that would be helpful to do. Okay. Elise R asks, hey, Sam, how do you invest your money currently? What savings account do you like using? So yeah, I like using the Ally Bank savings account. It's pretty stable. It's got, the APR is really good. It's not like, mind blowing or anything. But the thing about these other companies that have higher APRs is they typically lose pretty fast in terms of they drop suddenly and without warning. And so they'll advertise like a 6% APR and then like 14 days later, they say, oh, just kidding, it's 3% now. And so I like to have stability in my life. And so that's why I typically like stable banks like the big banks, and Ally Bank is going to be one of those. In terms of investing my money, I kind of just diversify my portfolio. I'm very boglehead, very index fund heavy. Got your domestic, US domestic, large cap, then you got your, international, then you got your bonds. And so it's just a matter of making sure they're in the right accounts in the right way. And that's a different topic for a different video for sure. Okay. Vijayan Balasubrahmanian asks, if you use points for booking flights, I feel we will not get travel insurance like delayed or baggage. I want to throw this out to the chat because I'm not specifically sure about that. I think that if you book a flight using points, for example, on the Platinum card, and then you actually use the Platinum card to pay for the taxes and fees or any other ancillary stuff, I think you still get that insurance. But again, I'm not sure. So anyone down in the chat, just go ahead and drop that down so we know what the right answer is. So, Yosi, I appreciate your channel. Just got the CSR in November. Really want to take advantage of the CFU 5% on gas and grocery now. Thoughts apply now? Yeah, I would go for it. I mean, November's kind of far away at this point. It's January. So I think if you want to get that welcome offer, definitely go for that. I know there's a new one that just came out that is like double your points up to $20,000 to spend or something. So definitely check that out as well if that would fit your use case as well. Okay. Uh, Pan asks, I am just looking at credit cards and benefits. It appears to me the Chase Sapphire cards cover a trip just as well as trip insurance. Is there something I have missed? I'm not entirely sure. Again, I have to look at the actual terms and conditions of each travel insurance. I don't know them off the top of my head. So I'm gonna have to defer that question to the pan. But yeah, I think that is something that we should look into and see if the uh, coverage is kind of what you're looking for. Nifty Ninja asks, a lot tend to talk about credit card and program devaluations. Is there a card you feel has gotten better over time or a loyalty program that's improved and aged like fine wine? It's a very good question. I'm not sure if there's something that I can think of off the top of my head. A card that's gotten better over time. That's something that we don't we don't see that very often. Um, I think with this is gonna be a very classic answer, but the US Bank Altitude Reserve card, it came out a long time ago, back when mobile wallets weren't as popular. They're a lot more popular now. So I think from that perspective, it has aged like fine wine because based on the environment that the payment processes are becoming, it's becoming more and more advantageous to use mobile wallets with that card because you can get that 3x multiplier. So whereas it wasn't as popular or as prominent as before, and I'm talking about mobile wallet purchases, it's more prominent now, and so that's really really helpful. A loyalty program, I'm not sure if there's one that's gotten better or worse. I would say obviously Built's getting better because they're adding things like consistently over time. So I say that one has been improving very quickly because that one has not been out for that long. And so I think that's a really good one to think about too. So those would be the answers to those questions. Okay. And so let's see here. Vijan asks, what is your favorite credit card for places where you have to manually enter payment details? So the only places I can think of that you have to manually enter payment details is going to be online shopping, so retail stuff. And I don't think there's anything else I can think of that does that. So basically online stuff. Not necessarily retail, but maybe like a subscription here and there. And so it depends on what you're targeting, right? And so if you are, for example, targeting online shopping, there's a lot of options. Like we talked about, the PayPal MasterCard is going to be one of them. You've got the Bank of America customized cash rewards card with that 3% on online shopping, but can get up to 5.25% online shopping depending on if you're on the preferred rewards program. And then you also have cards like the AMEX Blue Cash Everyday card, which can get 3% on online shopping as well. And so those are the cards I would say I would use it for that. If it's for like non-category spend, then you want to get like a good catch-all card. My personal favorite is going to be the Premium Rewards card or Elite card because you get that nice catch-all category. And so make sure to have a 2% card available to do that. You can always say things like Capital Venture X, all the cards we talked about from before in the previous question. We talked about the best one card setups. Okay, so let's see, keep going down here. 34 Scotland asks, how can I get out of pop-up jail since April 2023? I spent $11,000 on both AMEX Gold and AMEX Blue Cash Preferred, but when I applied for Platinum, I got a pop-up message and I've never had the Platinum. And so it's really frustrating because Amex tends to put people in pop-up jail like whenever they want. And we like to say spend on your cards will make it better, but honestly, we don't even know if that's the case. It's just kind of the data points we have. So there really is no secret to getting out of pop-up jail. It's just you have to try it and see if you get out. I also want to point out that pop-up jail is not just for a single, like the whole card family. Like you can apply, for example, the Hilton Honors card and get pop-up jailed, but then apply for the Spire card and get not pop-up jailed. So they definitely don't always, if you're in pop-up jail, it's not going to be just for everything. It could just be for that one card for whatever reason. Maybe it's the offer. They don't want to give you the offer. They want to give you a lower offer. And so, I don't necessarily have a solution specifically to get out of pop-up jail other than just keep trying. Like obviously use the cards as you normally would. Obviously don't like ignore the AMEX cards. I think that we all know that's going to be a problem, but you don't necessarily have to go and spend all that money on your card to try to get out of pop-up jail. You just spend as much as you can, but like within limits. Okay, Long Way Travel says To chat about it, Turkish is so rare to find transcontinental flights, 15K for business class. Thank you for that update. Yeah, I mean, trying to find these flights are just always so difficult. And so and understanding, what to do and how is really important. And so, people like One Way Travels, I mean, they know because they actually do the redemptions themselves. Okay, so Elise R asks, non-credit card related, but you mentioned in the past you listen to podcasts while driving. Can you share what podcast or YouTube channels you listen to? Yeah, I mean, I listen to basically in the mornings. I listen to Think Media, Think Media podcast. That's my time for YouTube specific stuff. Sometimes I'm mixing a little bit of Money Guy Show, which is more finance, personal finance related from these really great guys, Brian and Bo Hanson. Uh, uh, and they actually talk about a lot of really great personal finance topics. And because they are also financial planners, certified financial planners, I really value like their information, their insight. In terms of the, coming back home from work, I listen to all the YouTubers that I love, all the credit card YouTubers. And so if there's videos posted, I just pick a playlist and then I like listen to all of them. And so I can't name them all, but basically everyone, that we have here in this community, I listen to all your videos as much as I can on the way home from work and other than that as well. So that's kind of what my podcast playlist is like. So here we go. We go down to, let's see, where are we at here? We're doing pretty good with these questions. Bluesy Submarine asks, I got approved for the AMEX Business Plus with a 20K credit limit. Good job. Let's go. That's an awesome credit limit. Congrats, man. When I received the physical card, the credit limit don't move from 8K to the promised 20K. And so I know what you're saying. So sometimes AMEX, when they get you a card earlier, they will give you like a temporary credit limit. And the temporary credit limit will stay until you get the physical card, in which case you will activate the card and then that limit will apply. I've actually had that happen to me too, where I had a Blue Business Plus card and I activated my card. It stayed at that temporary limit. It will eventually get back to the higher limit within the first billing cycle. And if it doesn't, you can certainly call American Express and explain to them the situation. I think they'll help you out with that. Keith says, if I was doing a one card setup, I think that I'd carry the City Premier card. Good transfer partners and multipliers, including travel without needing a portal. I think that's a great option, Keith. I think one thing I would just say is that, it doesn't have that 2x catch all everything. And so you're limited to 1x. So if you only spend money on those 3x categories, which is very expensive, by the way, then I think that would be a good choice. But I'm always like, I always like to having a 2x catch all just for, some those other purchases that doesn't cover in those big categories. And so that's what I would say for that. Of course, you can always add like the City Double Cash or something like that. That's not a big deal, but we're kind of one card setup. So just keep that in mind. And I think the Premier card is a great coverage. It's got great partners. So I think that's definitely a good solution. Again, if those multipliers are, ones you spend the most amount of money in. Okay. And so good. Cesar Draw asks a question. What are you using as your webcam for live stand? Okay, I'm glad I had this question because I wanted to get it off my chest. So I would say the biggest and best purchase I have ever made for my YouTube channel is the ZVE10 Sony camera that I purchased, because it does everything I wanted to do in a simple way for an affordable price, and it's beautiful, right? And so of course, I had to buy the lens too, and the lens was actually the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. And so those two combination together makes a really powerful combination, because I can record 4K video on this camera and it looks just as crispy as like these very high-end cameras. And so I always tell people when they're starting out with YouTube, definitely get the Sony ZVE10. It's like $600 for like the base frame, and it's like $200 for like the lens. And so it's not going to break your bank. It's obviously not cheap. It's not like, super affordable, but it is more affordable than I would say than a lot of the other like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 cameras. And one of the things that draw me to this camera too is that it's easy to use, right? And so these bigger cameras, they have all these nice features, but I can't even like understand them because I don't have time to learn how to use it. So if I can use a camera that is easy to use, simple, and really does great video, I would recommend this camera. And this camera is like, I love it. You can see how blurry the background is. You see how much it captures the light because the lens is just so good. And so I also mentioned the lens also makes the camera too. So the lens and the camera together are a great combination. Okay, so that was that. So sorry, geeking out on YouTube. Sorry about that. Back to credit card stuff. Okay, so my 2 card setup would be City Premier and Capital Venture X for lounge access, 2X and great subs. Their transfer partner networks work well together. Perfect. Yeah, Keith, I think that's perfect. Just we talked about in your last question. I think that's a really good way to do it. So definitely uh, keep that in mind for sure. Great. Okay. All right. Keep going. Keep going. Down here. Any more questions? Oh, Chad's got a response here from the pop-up jail. So for pop-up jail, getting out is like beating a prison fence. You test it out until you find the weak point. You do that by using different offers, referrals, public directed versus companion sites. He's right. I it's laugh because I think about beating a prison fence and how like not helpful that's going to be. But I kind of see the analogy, so that's a really good way to visualize what you're saying. So I appreciate the insight, Chad. Okay. CJ Cruz asked, today I got approved for the Chase Inc. Unlimited. Let's go. I hope you got the 90K offer. I know it's still floating around out there, or maybe it's not. I don't know. It's somewhat close to being done, but I hope you got that one. First credit card ever with Chase, no relationship at all. Hard pull from Experian and TransUnion. Can I apply for a personal credit card and ask to use the same credit report? And so I don't think you can choose to use the same credit report. I think they choose for you. I was just informed by somebody that there is this Chase 1 in 30 rule with business cards where you can only apply for one business card with a 30-day period. So you may want to just wait it out for 30 days before you get another personal credit card with Chase. If it's for a different bank, then I think you do whatever you want. But if it's for Chase specifically, I would just wait for 30 days before applying for that Chase credit card. Okay. Keep going down here. Say to Joel, thanks for answering the question, Stan. Need to get the ZV10. Yeah, absolutely. So the ZVE10. Yeah, so definitely check it out. Great camera. Highly recommend. Okay. Paul Stein asks, hi, Stan. I have the B of A 3211 card. Not sure what that is. Well, maybe I'll figure it out. And was thinking of parking cash at B of A Merrill Lynch to get the premium rewards. I think he means the customized cash rewards card with the 3%, 2%, 1% thing. I wondered what you have your money parked in for this purpose. Yeah, so my money's parked in at a Merrill Edge self-directed brokerage account. It's a basic brokerage. The only limitation is that it only services some ETFs. It's not like all expensive with mutual funds. So you just like pick your favorite ETF and just leave it there. And it's like a part of your portfolio overall. And so definitely something that is worthwhile. It's the brokerage is fine. Like it's not like the most cool brokerage or anything, but to get you to the point where we can get to that gold, platinum honors level, that's kind of like what you want to do that for. Okay. So Josh Butler here in the house. Good morning or good afternoon. Sorry. Good morning for me. Good afternoon for you. Good afternoon, guys. Good to see you, Josh. Josh is a good friend of the channel. Looking forward to see you somewhere, your newer content, Josh. I know you've been away with your family, so, keep that up, but, looking forward to see you back again. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here with these questions because there are some more to go through. So the next question comes from my buddy, Joe Barreto. Hope you're still here in the chat, by the way, Joe. Hi, Stan. Which Bank of America card do you recommend for travel perks? I was told by Anthony, Ventures Discord crew, during my live that you were the one to ask. Please help. So yes, first of all, haven't checked Joe's channel, definitely check it out. He's got a lot of great information. He's one of the older guys, so he's got a lot of life experience and a lot of life knowledge. So if that's something you want to hear from, Joe's your guy. He's got a lot of great things going on his channel, both from credit cards and just for life in general. And just to answer the question, first of all, you don't get Bank of America credit cards for travel perks. It's kind of the first way to answer the question because that's not what they're for, right? There are plenty of other cards that get you better travel perks that are on different issuers like American Express, Chase, Capital One, Citi. The reason why you get Bank of America credit cards is really for that preferred rewards boost you get on those everyday categories, on those catch-all categories, right? Having said that, Bank of America credit cards do have travel perks, and the ones that come to mind are going to be these ones right here. And so the ones that we have in mind are the Bank of America Premium Rewards, the Bank of America Premium Rewards Elite, as well as the Alaska Mileage credit card. And so let's go over these in turn. So the first two are Bank of America branded cards. And so you can see the Premium Rewards Elite, Premium Rewards card, has a $95 annual fee and has a $100 airline incidental as well as $100 TSA pre-check global entry credit. So you can actually get positive net value on this card the first year if you use the TSA credit. But if at anything, you can get positive value with just the incidental credit alone. Now, if you want a simple card, that's kind of what I recommend because it has the same multipliers as the Premium Rewards Elite credit card, which has that $550 annual fee, but has those other credits we mentioned before, the $300 incidental credit, as well as the $100 TSA pre-check and global entry credit. It also has these really cool other perks you can use, which are the airfare redemption on the travel portal for 20% back or 1.25 cents per point, excuse me, as well as the Priority Pass Select membership that you get that accesses to restaurants. I think it's for authorized users, and each authorized user gets a Priority Pass membership, and so it's limited. And I think it's unlimited guests or 2 guests. I'm not sure. It's not clear exactly how many guests you get with that card, but it does cover restaurants and non-loungy type places. So definitely a powerful Priority Pass membership if you want to go down with that Bank of America card. The last card that actually is important is the Elastic card. That's a really powerful card. It's got a $95 annual fee, but it's got that $99 companion fare, which used to be really good. I think it's with tax and fees $122, but you have to spend $6,000 on the card now to get that unless you got grandfathered in before the change. And so that is just a negative on that card in terms of the companion fare. If you spend on the card for that amount of money, $6,000 a year is not like terrible. That's fine, but there's just that limitation there. If you do fly Alaska a lot, though, it is great because you get a free check bag for you and then 6 of the guests that you have on your itinerary too. So if you are doing like one Alaska trip, one round trip with a bunch of like a bunch of your family, you can save like a ton of money just with this one card. Like you can imagine how many baggage fees will add up with all the people you're bringing with you on your trip. And so to have that ability is really awesome because you can really make up that annual fee really like a lot, like no, 2-3 times over, depending on how much you travel on Alaska Airlines. And of course, you get priority boarding. That's like one of my favorite things on these airline cards is priority boarding because I like boarding early and securing that overhead space for my carry-on. I just that gives me a lot of peace of mind. So I really do appreciate that. So that's what I recommend for the Bank of America cards. I think the next question comes from my boy Cesar Joel, who's already here in the chat. Cesar, your worst credit card and why you got it. Keep up the great work, Stan. Okay. So I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I think it's important to talk about because just because a card mathematically is a good card, is a keeper card, doesn't mean it's a good keeper card for you. And so the worst credit card I ever got was the Southwest Priority card from Southwest. And first of all, you're gonna say like, Stan, wait a minute. I thought you like fly on Southwest like a ton of times, and that is true. I do spend like travel a lot with Southwest, but here's the reason why it was the worst card. So I got this card in 2020. And 6 months later, I got the Amex Platinum card. So that first 6 months before the Platinum card, it was a great card. I was spending my funds on the Southwest ticket, on this card, and so I was getting the 3x points back. But as soon as I got the Platinum card, I started getting 5x points back on flights. And I moved all of my Southwest spend to my Platinum card instead. And so that just left this card as kind of a useless card with a $140 annual fee. Now, it's not all bad because we see in the bottom of the slide here, you do get some perks too. Like you get this 700 points for each card on anniversary, which are worth 1.3 cents per point. So it's even more than $75, in value. You get a $75 annual credit when you book Southwest purchases. So that's another value on top. And then on top of that, you get four upgraded boardings per year. At this point, it's about $30 per upgraded boarding. So that's $120 in value on top of the 75 plus the around 75. So you're getting like at least 100-ish plus more money on this card just by having the card. So it is definitely a keeper card. I'm not going to deny that. But in terms of my use case, I just didn't like having an annual fee card sitting around like doing nothing and then having to deal with all these credits on top of what I was dealing with the Platinum card. So to simplify my life, I got rid of this card. It was mathematically going to make sense, but the time I was investing in trying to get all these things done with the Southwest card was unnecessary, in my opinion. I was spending enough time on the Platinum card to like really make sure that I got enough value from that Platinum card first, right? And so that's why I decided to cancel that card. I've been fine with it. I think it's a great card for the companion pass situation. So we know about the priority plus like the business cards. You can combine those two to get the the companion pass. That's a great use for the card, if you want to keep it like for that year or so. But, I think it's a use case. So for example, if I didn't have a platinum card, this would be a great card to have because clearly I fly Southwest a lot. I do a lot of things with Southwest. But if you're getting 3x Southwest, like why not get like 3x on like the Chase Sapphire Reserve? That's better because you could transfer the points over. It's transferable currency, so you can do that or something else if you want Hyatt, for example. So a lot more flexibility with that too. So that's kind of the worst card I ever had. Cesar Joel kind of pops in here, says, "Thanks for answering my question. You're welcome, Cesar." Cesar is the man, by the way. I love that guy. Like, I wish I spoke Spanish so I could interact with him more on his channel. But I heard actually, from Think Media that they're in YouTube. They're starting to do this thing where they're going to be able to translate. Like, there's like an AI thing that they're developing where they can translate English channels to different languages and vice versa. So there may be a point in time where I actually will be able to see Cesar's content in English. And so I'm really excited for that to happen. But in the meantime, he's got a lot of great, content. So definitely check him out, especially if you speak Spanish because he's the man. I love that guy. He's so cool. All right. So next question here is from my buddy Joe Mano. Love that name, by the way, Joe Mano. Woohoo! Would love to hear about your top favorite Marriott branded property within the US. Love all the videos. Keep it pushing. So I don't spend a lot of time in luxury Marriott resorts. I do sometimes, but not a lot. So the breadth of how many properties I've seen is not very big. Mostly I stay in Courtyards and Fairfields, but I did have the opportunity to go to Washington D.C. last year. And I stayed at this property I just had a great time at that property. That property was the Gaylord Hotel in National Harbor in Maryland, which is really close to DC, by the way. And I put these pictures up here to kind of give you a size of a depth of what the hotel looks like. So on the left is the big atrium that faces the hotel, that faces out on the Potomac River. And you can see it's a beautiful view you get with wide open spaces, wide open atrium. In the foreground, you can kind of see, in the background, you can see like these little houses there that's inside. Those are mostly like bars and restaurants for the property. So it's a little cool, like little unique thing. And what's also cool about this property is that the balconies on the property look out over this area. So I actually booked like the lowest room possible. I think I was platinum at the time. No, I was platinum at the time. Yeah. So I actually was upgraded to a balcony view overlooking like the inside. And that was really my view in the morning was just I wake up, I would look outside, see the Potomac River, see the inside of the hotel. And it was just a great place to like sip my coffee, do some YouTube just in the mornings before what I was doing. And so I love that like experience. And not only is the hotel great too, but also it's a great location in National Harbor. So National Harbor is kind of a touristy place, got a nice shops, restaurants. It's got some touristy things like boat tours and stuff you can do. By the way, the left side of this is going to be the outside picture of the property too, this is a gorgeous property. And so like I mentioned before, though, you could do those things in National Harbor, but also you're close to Washington, D.C. as well. And so why that's important is because I was able to go to the Smithsonian museums and just look at just kind of go there and visit them. And of course, because I'm in the District of Columbia, I wanted to go see the National Museum of American History. And so I really enjoyed that trip. I want to point this out because it was sort of relevant. On the left here, one of the exhibits showed a picture of a tax form, and I thought it was hilarious because this is a tax form from 1921. And I know it's kind of small to see, so I'll kind of like tell you about it. It's a 1921 tax form to the IRS. It's one page. There's like 5 deductions, right? And it's like income deductions, and then this is like what you have to pay in taxes. And basically, this guy from the Navy made, it looks like it was $2,000-ish, and he paid $24 in tax. And so I just imagine myself paying $24 in tax. I'm sure the rest of you can relate to that. Is unbelievable. Like, and of course that was 1921 or something like that. So that was over 100 years ago. So I did the calculation, and basically $21 in tax in today's money is about $400. $21 in 1921 money is $450 in today's money. So still a very low amount of tax. And so I thought it was a very cool and unique thing. So that was in the finance section of the National Museum of American History. I also was able to see some of these cards. It was really, really cool. There was actually an exhibit on credit cards themselves, pretty like a small little window that shows like how they used to look like in the past. So you can see American Express. There's a Bank of America card, the charge card, what they used to look like, as well as a Sears credit card. And basically, they kind of discuss what credit cards were, what they look like in the 1950s, 1960s, and 70s. And you see what a long way we've come since then. And just in case you were curious, this Bank of America card became Visa, which is why it looks like the colors of the Visa logo that used to be before they changed it to the Visa logo now. And so MasterCharge obviously is MasterCard, and American Express is, as you know, American Express. And so I thought that was a really cool exhibit. Want to share that with you guys. But again, I love that property, that Gaylord property. And so if you ever go to DC area, I highly recommend that. Again, it's from Marriott, but that was kind of what I was able to do. Okay, so we're on a break. Let's go ahead and get back to the chat. Let's see, where are we at? That one. Okay. Biko, wow. Hello, Stan. This is Hatsusue. I think I said that right. Hopefully I did. From Discord. I'm wondering which Marriott card do you default to for booking rooms? Perhaps the business because of the 7% discount on standard rates. Yes, that's actually correct. So I have the Ritz-Carlton, I have the Bonvoy Brilliant, and I have the Bonvoy Business. I will get the Bonvoy Boundless in the next year or so after my 24-hour timer stops. But at this point, I only have 3. The business card I always use for Marriott's because you get that 7% room discount rate, which is really helpful. Because if you're booking a standard room, it's not like a lot, especially because if you prepay the room, it's actually cheaper than the 7% discount rate. But then you have to prepay the room, and it's like non-refundable. So I actually do prefer doing the standard rate with the 7% discount. And if I do it that way, then I'll have a pretty similar price to what you would do if you were to prepay, but you have the benefit to cancel that hotel within 48 hours if you wanted to. And so, yeah, that's exactly what I use. Okay. Miguel Baca asks, Bilt is regarded as the best no annual fee travel card, but what kinds of multipliers / benefits / credits should we expect if they were to make a luxury card with an annual fee? That's a good question. It's hard for me to figure out what that would be specifically because I don't know what their plan is. They'd have to do something really good because their Bilt card is already good by itself with no annual fee. Clearly, they'd have to up the multipliers in some way. Maybe do something like Capital One style, where they do Saver One, where they do instead of 3x dining, do 4x dining, 2x travel becomes 3x travel, maybe 1x becomes 1.5x, something like that. And then maybe they offer some more benefits. Although I don't really want to go down that road because I like how Bilt has so many benefits on their no annual fee card that are found on annual fee cards. Like, for example, primary auto rental CDW, like, for example, transfer partners. I mean, they're really innovating the space more than any other issuer, in my opinion. And so if they were to provide an annual fee card, it'd have to be something very groundbreaking. Otherwise, people wouldn't want to keep, people would probably just keep the Bilt card by itself. If they would do that too, they'd probably also have to take away stuff from the Bilt no annual fee card, which I don't want to have happen either. And I don't think you do either. But that's what my question or my answer would be to your question. Okay. Right. Kevin Manhattan asks, hey, Stan, big fan of your channel question. How bad will I look if I promptly cancel the card after 2 years or 4 so I can reapply for the welcome bonus? I just don't want to piss off issuers. Listen, just cancel the card. It's okay. They put the rules down for you so you can follow them, and you're following them. I don't know why that would make them mad. They put 24 months. If they want to do 36 months or 48 months, they would do that. And so I think you're referring to Chase because that's kind of what it sounds like. But if you had a card open for 2 years, I think they'll be very happy that you had the card open for 2 years, and they'll be fine with you canceling the card. I mean, I personally would just cancel the card and apply right away. Maybe I wait a day or so. But you know what I mean? It's nothing you have to really go into in terms of your strategy. Just go ahead and cancel the card and apply for it when you think it's ready. Okay. Stretch at MTXS asks, are there any nerfed cards you miss or wish you got? Curious if anyone else has one for that matter. For me, it's the FNBO Travelite. I don't actually know that card, so I'm not sure I can comment on that. But if there's any nerf cards that I miss, I don't think so. I think most of the cards I have been pretty stable. I would say a nerf would be like the Capital One Metro. That's kind of the big one these days, but I don't even deal with Capital One, so I don't really care. They do have a great product, but for someone like myself that doesn't have a need for them right now, it's okay. But you have to watch out for nerfs, like, for example, annual fee cards. So, for example, you could argue that the Platinum card was nerfed when they raised the annual fee. You could argue that the gold card was nerfed when they added the monthly statement credits, or you can also argue that there was a nerf for the Aspire card where they changed all the credits and raised the annual fee as well. So it depends on your point of view. And so I don't think there's anyone from my point of view that I would be able to identify. Okay. Milo Jimenez says, I got rid of the Southwest to move my credit limit over to Ritz Carlton and close out. You have the Ritz Carlton card, like you're golden, man. So that's awesome. Yeah, I mean the Southwest card, it's good. It's not a bad card. I'm not trying to like downplay it or make it sound like a terrible card, but it's all gonna be situation dependent. And so as long as you understand why you have the card, and if you're okay with dealing with the card in the way that you do, if you have the bandwidth to handle all those statement credits and to handle all the different things you got to do to make it worth it, then I think you should go for it. But there's going to be a point when you get to like 15, 16, maybe 20, 25 cards where you may start to feel like it's a little bit too much, and you may want to back down a bit. And that's kind of how I felt with the Chase Southwest priority card. Okay. Love your BFA videos. They built one near me, so I'm giving them another look. Perfect. I mean, I think they're fine. Everyone likes to hate on BofA, and like every bank, there's going to be skeletons in the closet. But you know, I've had nothing but positive things to say about them, and they've done right by me every single time. So I'm on all for that. Okay. Vsud asks, hi Stan, which credit card is the best to use for the year 2024? You know, again, you just started this like a year, like a week ago, so we don't know yet, but we will definitely get to that question soon. All right. So I think we're done with the questions. Good. So we have one last set of questions. And this is going to be fun because for those of you who stayed all the way to the end, I have a bunch of fun questions that are not credit card related, but they will help to get you to get to know me a lot better as a creator. And so that's what I really like to do at the end of these live streams is, or towards the tail end, I guess, is to go through these types of questions. And so the first is from my boy, Anthony Venture. By the way, check out his Discord channel. It's like a lot of good stuff in there, and he's a lot of great community building in that channel. So definitely check that out. Would you be able to show us your Saks Fifth Jellycat collection? Also, can you buy me one? And so, what Tony's referring to is that on the Platinum card, as you all know, there is a semi-annual $50 credit that you can use to do stuff. Some people say, you know, I buy you know, cologne. Sometimes people say I buy socks, I buy a robe, I buy pants, whatever. Those are kind of typical things. What you can also buy is something called a Jellycat. So a Jellycat actually is a stuffed animal. Under Jellycat, there's something called Amusables, which is actually what I try to target because my fiance loves Jellycats. Like I'm going to say that she has a little bit of an obsession with them. I want to call it unhealthy, but I'll let you guys decide. She got so excited for this question because she got to arrange all her Jellycats on her dresser. And I told her, like, make it look good because I put it on the live stream. And so I actually, for all of my Saks credits, I actually gift her Jellycats for, you know, just random gifts. And so that's a great way that I get to use my Saks Fifth credit is by doing that. And so basically, I've had the Platinum card and sometimes even two personal for a couple of years. And so that's a lot of Jellycats. Before you judge, I just want to say that these Jellycats are not all the ones I've given her. It's also including ones that she's had from gifts, from friends, or from me. And so this is actually what that looks like here. And that's her Jellycat collection. And so you can see that they are primarily stuffed animals with a happy face and little feet. And it depends on kind of like what you like. I think they're adorable, but she just absolutely loves them. And if you have like, you know, someone in your life that loves Jellycats, like these are some pretty cool stuffed animals. And so you can see that there's a number of things like a little crab on that bottom left, a rain frog in the middle, also Festival Dragon. She got that one. That's a new one, by the way. She loved Festival Dragon, which is the red dragon in the center, as well as some of these plants on the side. There's like a tulip and a lily and like a bamboo shoot. And she loves them. So that's their Jellycat collection. And in terms of buying you one, Tony, yeah, let's connect offline and let's go ahead and figure out how we can get one to you, because I think once you get your hands on it and maybe you give one to your wife, maybe she'll kind of catch the bug too. So that's kind of her Jellycat collection, and that's what I want to say about that. Okay, next question is Mr. Eddie. Eddie asks, hey Stan, first want to mention that your last live stream was so well done and that I'm so happy you're doing more of these. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Eddie. That really means a lot to me. Again, like I mentioned at the very beginning, I'm here to work for you guys. I want to make sure I answer your questions as best I can. And so part of that is, the questions before the live stream on the community post, as well as the live stream questions now. And so he asks, I'm curious about how you manage your money through your journey to becoming a doctor. did you have to take a lot of student loans out for your degrees? If so, what approach did you take slash are taking currently to pay those off? Additionally, were you very frugal during your journey through school, or were you more frivolous with your spending, knowing that you'd be making good money in the future? And so the way we answer this question is that, it's a mindset, right? And it's a mindset that's built over a period of time. To be just very transparent, I was very fortunate in that I didn't have any student loans because my parents were able to support me throughout my education, and that is a lot of money. And I understand not a lot of people have that, ability, but that was just my situation, and so I'm always eternally thankful for my parents for providing me the opportunity to go to college, go to medical school, and have them provide for tuition. I did pay for my own stuff. I did get jobs of my own to kind of pay for my own, like, food and like my lodging and like all that stuff. But like for tuition specifically, they did help me out with that. I did actually ask my dad after I finished, who provided, the tuition money. I said, Dad, do you want me to pay you back? I know there was kind of a lot of money you spent on me, and of course throughout my childhood and everything. I really, now that I make this much money, I would like to, support you. He's like, Stan, I really appreciate the gesture, but I did this because I'm your father, and all I ask of you is when you have your own children, you do the same thing for them. And so that really hit me really, here, right? And so that's exactly what I plan on doing when I have children eventually, is making sure that they're taken care of, making sure I pay for their education if they want to go to college or medical school even. And so that's what I'm working towards right now. Obviously, I can't do a 529 now because they're not born yet, but I have all these systems in place that I think will start doing that as soon as I possibly can. And so that's the story about the um, student loans. Now, in terms of my journey throughout medical school and residency, for example, I was very frugal, but I wasn't like super frugal. I like spent enough money that I could enjoy myself, but I was obviously very cost conscious. And so, what I want to say is my top money tips to all of you here. And so, my first top money tips is that you always want to pay yourself first. And what that means is that when you get your paycheck, whether it be W-2, 1099, whatever, you take a chunk of that and you put it away somewhere, and it does not exist. What that does is that it creates a environment of forced scarcity. And that's important because you want to always operate in an environment of forced scarcity. Because when kind of crap hits the fan and you have the emergency tire blows out, or you get a medical bill or something happens, like spend a lot of money, like you're moving or something, you now can get out of that environment of forced scarcity and actually go ahead and be in a real period of abundance, because you can take the money you have saved up and use it for what that emergency is. It's kind of like it's almost like saying the emergency fund sort of thing, but it's kind of framed in a different way. It's just the mindset of paying yourself first. So in your mind, I'm going to save 25% of my paycheck per month. And so you just take that savings account, brokerage, whatever you want to do, put that in there. And the reason why that's important is because savings is a mindset. Because once you start doing this for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you're really going to go ahead and be able to understand that this is like a normal thing to live in that environment of forced scarcity. And if you live in that environment, you also can avoid something else that's really important, and that's called lifestyle creep. And lifestyle creep is real, especially with a lot of high income earners like physicians when they are residents and then they go ahead and get their first doctor job and they realize they have a lot of money. The issue with that now is that now you think you have a lot more money, but now you're just really increasing your lifestyle and spending more that you don't necessarily have to. And lifestyle is hard because once you get to a certain lifestyle, it's very hard to go backwards. So, I've done all I can to do the best I can to maintain my resident style lifestyle. I've clearly done more things to make my life more comfortable as I've gotten older, but I haven't done it in a way that is, too overwhelming in terms of like spending a lot of money. I still value savings as much as I can. First, because when I was in my schooling years, in college, med school, residency, I always paid myself first and developed that saving mindset. And that is so super, super important. Okay. Good. So there's that. The next question is from Mr. Jake Mercure. And Jake Mercure says, dang it, I'm traveling again during a live stream. By the way, Jake Mercure is doing some really awesome stuff with his channel. He has a very different way of doing his videos. And so haven't checked it out, check it out for sure. How did you start your business and what legal structure did you go with? Keep it up, Stan the man. Thanks so much, Jake. I appreciate the support. So basically what I did was I started as a single member LLC, and it's now easier than ever to start a business through an LLC, which is the most, I think, the best way to do it because you are now limiting your liability when you're doing business. And there are lots of online vendors you can use to help you with this process. So I did use an LLC formation service. I used them to get my articles of incorporation, my state of information for California, as well as getting in my EIN, all that jazz. You could do that stuff yourself, and there is information and instructions to do it. But just the time scenario, I decided to go through a formation service. I do most things on my own now. I do have a registered agent that does help me because obviously I don't have an actual office, but that is separate, and that's only like a one fee per year sort of thing. And so if you're thinking of starting a business, I do recommend using an LLC formation services. These are the ones on the left that are most common: Northwest Registered Agent, Zen Business, and also Busy, which is, I guess, new from Inkfile. Back when I was doing this, it was called Inkfile. So there's that. And so that's how I started my business. Okay. Last question here is from my boy, Matt Welter. Again, great friend of the channel, channel member. Matt asks, I know you love your job and are in a high paying profession, but if your YouTube income skyrocketed, maybe in combination with wanting to travel more and that flexibility, would there ever be a situation where you'd consider YouTube full time? So never say never, right? So I'm not going to say I'm never going to do that. But, right now my focus is on my primary job, being a doctor, taking great care of my patients, and also doing this YouTube hobby on the side. Because right now it's really a hobby structured as a business. But I also want to show you numbers because numbers really visualize what the decision is. Because when you talk about doing things full time, you have to talk about the numbers and realistically what those numbers mean. And so I never thought I'd show this, but I'm going to do it anyways. And for the 106 of you that are in the room, I'm going to click this next button here and you're going to see my entire history of YouTube revenue style. Here it is. So this is my revenue from 2022 and 2023 on this channel. And I'm going to break it down by year first. So I did start my channel in January of 2022. So just 2 full years. It took me 3 months to get my first 100 subscribers. So I see all you guys that are new creators and you guys are just rocking, killing it. That was not for me. I was getting very little views at the very beginning. And it took me, again, 3 months to get 100 subscribers. And then it took me another 5 or 6 months to get to 1,000. And that's kind of where you get that watch hour time, 4,000 watch hours, 1,000 subscribers to get the monetization for AdSense. So my best day in 2022 was $24 in one day. And I made $750 that month. And this is not exact because as you guys are creators know, when you get your the January paycheck is from December 1st to December 31st. So it's not accurate tax speaking, but it's good enough that it's good to generalize about that. So that was kind of what my revenue was from 2022. In 2023, that did get a lot better. And you can see that the y-axis on the graph is a little different. And I did end up making about $8,000 in ad revenue from last year. And I don't want to diminish that because that is, to be able to get that kind of money on a hobby is just phenomenal. It's just something that I've never really even dreamed of doing. And I think that's why, a lot of people, also go into this too, not because because they do it because they love it, but also there is some monetary aspect and gain to it too. So we can't, ignore it because it is there. I think from one year to another, it's been different in terms of I did 10x my views from last year. I 5x my views, I 5x my watch time, I 3x my subscribers, and I 10x my revenue, with my best day being $314 on November 27th. Now, of course, you can see that it's not sustainable. It's not something that is consistent. And so that is kind of the mindset of an entrepreneur, is nothing is consistent. And so I say that because, you look at that and you say, well, $8,000 is a lot of money for a year, right? It's not zero. It's definitely more than that. But, realistically, it's good to have, but it's not something you can really go full time off of or, use for your daily life. Now, of course, this is just AdSense. There's not doesn't count affiliate revenue, things like that. And for the most part, for my particular channel, I have some affiliate revenue, but it's very small. It's nothing compared to the AdSense. The AdSense is actually the major part of what I make in this channel. And so the reason why I mentioned that is because just keep that number $8,000 in your mind, because when I put you on this next slide, you'll see that I actually have calculated out my fixed cost to run this channel per year. And I I looked at it for last year and it was $6,000 approximately. Obviously, I made this graph just for visual demonstration, but the approximation is about the same. So about $1,500 of that is administrative costs. About $2,000 of that is a video editor, and about $2,500 is actually software. And so that's kind of the breakdown of the expenses. And so you can see that from the $8,000 that I made from revenue, I'm spending $6,000 in fixed costs. And that's good because you are net positive, right? So you have actually, I can officially say I've broken even this year in my second year of YouTube. But what I didn't tell you was in 2022, I did invest money into the channel, specifically equipment, and that does cost money. I spent about $5,000 in equipment and stuff to get this channel started, right? And so I'm still net negative in this business. However, it is generating a positive profit now that it can run itself, which is kind of what the goal was to begin with. And so, um, what do these costs entail? So administrative costs, that's things like, your taxes, your fees, your business licenses, like your registered agent, like things like that. Things you have to pay to basically, the business people. The video editor, I do have a video editor for shorts only. I do still edit my own videos. There's two parts of that. First of all, I love it, which is really helpful because I really like to be creative and to create these videos for you guys to make them as engaging and as helpful as possible. And so I do actually do my own long forms and obviously these lives too. But the short form, I do have a video editor for that. Also, if I hired an editor too, this cost would balloon out of control essentially. So I do keep it very short. And also for software, that's things you need to run the channel, like Premiere Pro, Photoshop, things like Canva Pro, like the StreamYard software we're using for those live stream. All that stuff kind of adds up with money, and so that's $2,500 per year. So, like I said before, this channel has been good. It's turning a profit, but it's still net negative overall. But we'll see where it goes. I think I'm not nearly close to anywhere going full time on YouTube, and that's really not my goal in the first place. I love doing what I do here. I think it's something that I hope that you all enjoy too, and we can all learn together and grow together. And I think that's really, really important, as we grow this community together. And I think that's the end of the slideshow. So let's go back to the chat now. Let's see, we got a lot of good stuff here. Okay. So short IDA GHK asks, are you companion pass level at Southwest? And if so, how do you continuously achieve that level each year without a credit card? So I'm not. I'm actually only A-list preferred because I only make around 50 segments per year, and I don't make 100, so that's a little bit too much for me. But hopefully one day a companion pass, we'll see. I have to do it through credit cards, just like most people do. Okay, Vincent Pasquale's here. He asks, instead of a CSR, a duo of CSP Inc. Preferred and Ritz-Carlton covers Chase Transfer Partners and the CSR's benefits plus better priority pass. Great recommendation, Vincent. I definitely can see that. So definitely, if you want to get those types of cards, like the mid-tier CSP or Inc. Preferred versus the Ritz-Carlton card, you can get kind of you can basically get your cake and eat it too. Okay. Chombe says, good afternoon, Stan, and everyone here. I always appreciate your videos. I appreciate you, of course. Here we go. Channel Plant Queen, thanks for stopping by. Hey Stan, great live stream. Love learning from the best. I appreciate you too. And thanks for stopping by again. And looking forward to more of your plant videos. Okay. And then Anthony Ventures, thank you, sure day, Stan. You're welcome, Anthony. We'll be in touch about those jelly cats. Random Judoku or Judoka, props to Frog Dad. Thank you so much. Luke points them out, big league dad stuff. No, Luke, you're a big league dad. I actually look up to you as like a mentor, not only in YouTube, but also like as a dad. Someone who doesn't have children yet and wants to have children in the future. Like I look at what you do with Carlos and how you integrate him into your life and you really show him the best things of the that you can as a father. I really admire and respect that. And so I always look forward to seeing Carlos and looking forward to see what he does in a couple of years. But you're the big time dad, you're the MVP. And so I really appreciate you coming by and and hopefully one day, we can be dads together, but we'll see how that goes. All right. Dr. Vinny Boomats, Credit Frog, yes, Credit Frog Jr. Exactly. Hopefully we'll see how long that takes, but hopefully hopefully soon. Jacob's Points of Profit says that's a great story. It sounds like an amazing father. He was an amazing father. And so, I was lucky to have a really great father in my life. And so, if you're, thinking of having kids, one day for anybody, I think it's something that's, really worth doing if you want. Kalbilani asks, dad life, good lunch stand? Absolutely. Max Khan says, my dad said the exact same thing to me and also made a huge impact. It's a generational pay it forward system. Absolutely. I think it's really important to always put our children first, make sure that they have the best environment to grow up in and to learn from, and to make sure that they can, be really positive functioning adults, when they get older. Kamala says, dad life, good luck, Stan. Thank you so much for that. Elise asks, how long did it take you to become a doctor? How many years of education total? I had this actually in my last live stream, but it took me about 14 years to get there. That's 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, 4 years of residency, and then 1 year of fellowship. The extra year in there is going to be the grad school that I took. That's not necessarily you have to do that, but I did that myself. So it was 14 years total. It's a long time, but I'm happy that I'm done. I'm working now, and so that's really good. Random Judoka asks or says, lots of brokers have ways to allow you to automatically buy index funds or CDs every month. It's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I keep it typically separate, but there's definitely some brokers that can do both. David Williams says, well, my mom kicked me out at 18. I'm sorry to hear that, David William. I think that, everyone has a different, environment and different upbringing. And so hopefully things are okay with you. And I wish you the best. I'm sure you're doing just fine now, but I just want to make sure that that's okay. All right. LA Shadow 8's here. Live stream, or I guess Frog Money live stream, fire emoji. Absolutely, buddy. You are the man. Thanks for commenting on my videos. I see you. I respect you. And of course, I'm from LA, so love that too. All right. So Vince is also on board with the pay yourself first. He also says, sometimes it's a matter of finding the balance between saving, investing, and living a great lifestyle. There's no truer words that have been spoken. I think, and to add to what I said to my question before, in your 20s, you have, for lack of a better way to say it, you can tolerate a lot more bullshit. Right. And so what I mean by that is that, remember when you were in your college years and you went to your friend's house and you slept on the floor, with your jacket as a blanket, and you woke up the next morning after drinking all night, and by 10 a.m. the hangover was gone and you were fine for the rest of the day. That tends to not happen anymore when you become older. And I think when you become older, between, older 20s, early 30s, you have less tolerance for that BS, and you actually want more comfort and prioritize that over saving money. And so the balance is going to be between, like you said, balancing saving, investing, and living a great lifestyle. And so I think that is a really, really great message, Vince. So thanks so much for that. Okay. Chadpunga, you're a quality content machine, Stan. It's been so fun watching this channel take off. I appreciate that. And of course, I really appreciate you coming in, and of course, we'll talk soon. Tony says, going to about here, this was amazing, Stan, and love behind the scenes for YouTube. Keep killing it. Appreciate it, Anthony, and hope you do the same as well. I know you're doing a lot of videos, a lot of shorts, a lot of live streams too, so I always look forward to those on your channel as well. Kamalani says, nice pay transparency, Stan. Thanks for sharing that. No problem. I didn't really expect you, but I want to answer the question in the best way possible, and that was the best way to possibly answer that question. And so it's important to understand that YouTube does take work. It does take time. And so even though you do make a lot of money, that money is spent on stuff to make the channel better typically. And so to live off that, you have to diversify the income sources, of which I have not really done yet because I just don't have the time with my full-time job. Okay, so we have Rich Moira says, can you show us how to apply for the AMEX Morgan Stanley Platinum version? I do have a video about that on my channel about a year ago. It's a little outdated because the Morgan Stanley Access Investing account is no longer there, but I would check that out. It's pretty accurate. The only thing you have to substitute in is actually a different investing account for Morgan Stanley. Biko Mao has 2 questions. If not, I'm not mistaken, you like Marriott more than Hilton. Why is that? Just curious. Number 2, what's the inspiration for your channel name? Are frogs just your favorite animal? Okay, so first questions first. So I like Marriott because I just like having the convenience of staying where I want to stay. Now, in bigger cities, it's less of a problem. Hyatt's, Hilton's, Marriott's are kind of all over the place. But when you get to these smaller cities, you may want to stay somewhere and there's no Hiltons or no Hyatts. And Marriott has 10 properties, right? And so it's the convenience, and it's also the property itself, because a lot of Marriott properties are also really nice in my opinion. And so I really like staying at Marriott properties for those reasons. And because I stay at one property, I can build up that elite status. So now I'm titanium elite. as opposed to like going to Hilton, going to Hyatt, going to Marriott and ISG and all those places. It just splits up your stay a lot more. And I do occasionally stay at Hyatt's, occasionally stay at Hilton's, but predominantly it's Marriott's for the reason I just described. And then the second is, what's the inspiration for your channel name? Are frogs your favorite? So they're not my favorite, but I do love frogs because my fiance loves frogs. And so part of that was integrating that into the channel. My fingers here. That's the credit frog right there specifically. That's her favorite stuffed animal. Also, this is a jelly cat, in case you didn't know. That is the amusable jelly cat down here. That's the aloe vera version. You can see the little smiley face in the feet. But I try to integrate a lot of what her likes into my channel, so we can become have her be involved as well. And so that's the inspiration for the channel name. Luke Pointamala says, "Great compliment, Stan. Thank you." No, of course, Uncle Luke. I have a lot of respect for you, and I appreciate you and your content, and you definitely give a really great perspective to all these things and all, especially the travel too. Okay. Ricky Travel agrees. Definitely agree. Luke is awesome. And then third, sorry about that. Dollar Man, looking forward to the credit tadpoles. Yes, absolutely. Those would be good. Also, just the tadpole membership is also on channel memberships too, so keep that in mind. But yes, hopefully the tadpoles will be coming soon. 34 Skyland said, "I just applied for Chase Business Checking and plan to apply for Ink Unlimited soon before the 18th. To that question, to apply for Ink Unlimited soon before the 18th. Yeah. So yeah, I think you should do that, because I think what you're getting at here is that the Ink Unlimited sign up or welcome offer is going to become obsolete at that point. So I think it's good you had the Chase Business Checking. I would have it sit around for like 3 or 5 days and then apply for the Ink Unlimited. It may be helpful, maybe not. We'll have to see, but I think it's more helpful than not. All right, Luke's one of you guys are making me tear up. No problem, Luke. I love when big men cry, because it really shows how much they care. Ricky's Travel Hacking says, "Are you planning on going to the Travel More 2024 conference in Dallas?" I am not. I'm not planning on going to the that conference specifically. I have only a few amount of times for conferences. I go to 2 medical conferences per year, as well as 1 YouTube conference. The YouTube conference this year I'm going to is the Think Media one. I think it's in Las Vegas around April sometime. I looked into going to different conferences that are more travel focused, and maybe like as this channel grows and does better, I may do that. But right now, this channel is more of a hobby, and it's kind of on top of what I'm doing as a full-time physician. And so as of right now, I can only have bandwidth for just 1 YouTube conference and then 2 medical conferences too. Elise R asks, "What happens to the money form 529 of your child decides not to go to college?" Good question. So you can actually transfer that. I have to look into it, because I'm not super well versed in 529s, but my understanding is that if your child does not go to college, you could obviously liquidate it for a 10% fee, which you don't want to do, because you're going to lose 10% of that. But if you wanted to go to like college yourself, or someone else in your nuclear family wanted to go to, I think there's a transfer clause. We can transfer that money to pay for educational services for that family member, or maybe it's yourself. I have to look into the details, but there is definitely ways for you to take the 529 money and put it somewhere else if the child doesn't go to college. This is also the big argument for the UTMA account, like the one that the child gets and gets the whole thing at 18. It depends on the child. Some children are very responsible as teenagers. A lot of them are not, as I'm sure you guys understand. So having a lot of money in an UTMA, although it's more flexible, it may not be the best choice depending on the situation for the child that you're doing it for. So there's also that conversation too. We got a super chat from Mr. Dollar Man. Thank you so much for the 5 spot. Jacob's points of profit is less than 30 subs away from 1K subs. Let's push him over the milestone. Great live stream. Perfect. Thank you so much, Dollar Man. I really appreciate that. Yes, let's do it. Jacob's a good guy. Like, he really is pumping those content hard. He's doing really good work. So let's get him over that to 1,000. All right. Luke says, "Stan, I think you can always add names to 529. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think, because I know Luke has a 529, I'm sure. So he would probably know more than I would. But once I obviously have a use for a 529, I'll look into it in much further detail. Sean D says, "Hey, Stan, how's it going, brother?" Going good, man. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Southern California, and we got to go outside and hang out in the park. So that's going to be really, really fun, just to relax after this live stream for sure. Oh, and Luke also says, "And there are several other ways to liquidate, and there is also the option to transfer it to your grandchild." Oh, very good. That's perfect. So there's a lot of options for 529. So that's great. Thank you so much for that, Luke. Chombe asks, I have Alaska Airlines Visa card and I want to add the Hawaiian Airlines card since they are merging together. I may get more mileage in the future. What do you think of that strategy? I think it's fine. I think any card you get for the first year is worth it, especially from the welcome offer. So if you want to get both cards, I think that'd be fine. I don't think they're merging their rewards, at least from what I can expect for the next couple of years. I think they're going to be Alaska and Hawaiian, so it's not gonna be like a combined thing. Maybe there's gonna be ways to transfer points between each one, but I think they're gonna keep the news right now is they're gonna keep each program or each company separate. That may have changed the last I checked, but like that's kind of what my understanding is. Um, Tyler Oxtoby asked, Stan, can you make a case to couple a Venture X with a Platinum card? My wife is looking to add the Venture X while I want to couple my Gold with a Platinum. Would that make any sort of sense? I think it depends, right? So the Platinum is obviously a terrible spender unless you're doing 5x on flights. The Venture X is a great catch-all because it's got that 2x and it's a Visa Infinite. So like Uncle Luke said in his recent video to Panama, he brought that Visa Infinite, the Capital Venture X, to there, and he didn't have to worry about American Express at all, which I think is a huge thing, right? And so I think having both has its value. I would say if you can use the Platinum Centurion Lounge regularly, and those types of things, I would get the Platinum card. And if you can use these statement credits, I would get it too. Obviously, like I mentioned in the previous question, getting it for the first year and only the first year is always going to be good no matter what. And so maybe you want to get both the Venture X and the Platinum card, try it out for a year, and see how you feel. You'll probably at the end of the year know whether you want to keep or cancel the card because you've used it for a year and you know what your lifestyle is like. So that's kind of what I would say about that. Crypto Bro, crypto people are here now. Crypto Bro says, I have 424 with Chase, and I have the CSR and the Venture X. Should I go Chase Merit to the Ritz card? I want to get the Platinum AMEX Charles Schwab, but need to get the Gold AMEX bonus first. I would say, yeah. I would say if you want to go to, if you were planning on staying on Marriott's for like in general, then Chase Merit would be good because you want to get that card before you get the Gold card because once you get that Chase card, you'll be 524, and it's not going to matter for American Express. So I would go Chase bond my balance first, then I would go to the AMEX Gold card second, and then you can go for the Platinum Charles Schwab card after that. I think I do it in that particular order. Of course, that's only if you want the Ritz card, but if you have the CSR and the Ritz card together, you can make a choice depending on which one you want to keep, and that'll be really fun to know too. Okay, so we've made it to 2 hours of this live stream. That's actually the perfect time because that's how much time I have allotted for this. Thank you again so much for all you guys to come to this live stream. I'm going to drop this banner in the chat. Don't forget to hit the like button on your way out. I really, really sincerely appreciate all of you guys showing up to these live streams. I do what I do because, I love credit cards. I love talking about them. And I also love interacting with all of you. And that's why I'm going to keep doing these live streams monthly to make sure you have access to me. If you want to ask me any questions, I'm always happy to answer them, obviously, in the comments of my videos. But I want to make sure that, we build a great community. And I think we have a great community already ongoing, with all the different content creators out there in the space. And so, again, I really wish you guys the happiest of Saturdays. Hopefully enjoy it. For those of you who are in the West Coast, happy afternoon. For those of you in the East Coast or other, happy late afternoon. And of course, we will talk to you guys real soon. Thanks and take care.